let's go ahead and do some examples. I have an image here that I want to crop. This image is a 4672 by 3104. Now I'm going to crop this image to 3:2. That means I need 2069 by 3104. Let's see, 2069 by 3104. Same here. Now let's get the image. Let's crop it. (2069). Let's drag it around. I'm going to change the size to fit to scale to fit to frame. I'm going to zoom it to 80, and I'm going to move it to -20. Let's put that information in here. The layer pan is going to be -20, and the size is going to be 80. So I get my information here. Now let's go to the 2069-3104. That's this image here. This is a 3104 by 4672. Let's crop it. But before we crop it, let's invert this. And I need to crop to 3104 to 4656. So this is going to change to 4656. Okay, let's make it fill frame at 30, and let's go to 20. What I want to do is rotate these around the center together. I'll just put a marker in here to show. Let's find out what I need to do for the rotate center. Okay, first off, let's put this in here as 20, and this is going to be 30. Now I want you to notice height 30 and 80. Oh, let's go. It's going to be fill frame. So both at fill. This is a fit frame. This is fill frame. I have a width of 30 and 80. Width of 30 and 80. I'm interested in the rotate center values, so I'm going to highlight those. And it says I want 66.67 for the left and -66.67 for the right. Let's come over here. Go to effects. By default, you'll see this here. If you don't see that little icon, you need to come in here and click on Show Layer Caption Controls, because if you don't have it on, you won't see the outline, you won't see that icon. So you need to select that and make sure that it's showing your layer outline once it's selected, as well as this icon. Now, if you have the keyframe icons on, you might not see that, so you might want to shut that off. And also, with this motion path, and we don't have any motion right now, but you might want to shut it off for the time being too. But that if it's located right in the center, that motion icon is going to hide your icon for the layer rotate center value icon. This is 66.67. Notice it went right on there. If I get rid of this, it goes right in the center. Okay, let's go to this one. This was a -66.7. And again, it's right on the money. Okay, we put the 66.67 in. Copy the next frame. Copy the next frame. Now let's give each of them a rotation. Now let's rotate, and they're rotating just fine. Let's move this up here. We'll make it minus 45, and let's say minus 42. Oops, let's just say 45, minus 42. Let's say 42.5. What the heck? And I'm going to rotate both of these layers on that point right there. Now you'll find it's very, very quick and easy. 45 minus 42.5. 45 minus 42.5 equals my rotate center is 216.67 and minus 53.13, whereas this one is 83.33 and minus 53.12. Okay, let's go put this in here. I'm going to change this to 216.67 and minus 53.13. $83.33 minus 53.12. Now let's zoom out a little bit. They're both rotating together. Quick and easy. These layers look boring. Let's give them something to make them less boring. I'm going to add a shadow and an outline. Now the basic outline here goes from 1 to 5, and I want 5. So now I've got an outline. But not necessarily what I want. So I'm going to create my own outline for the other one. I'm going to move this up here. It's going to be a 2 to 3 layer. I'm going to move it to behind the other layer. So it's going to be minus 20. Okay, so it's going to be a 2 to 3. It's going to be located at minus 20, but I need to find out what zoom I'm going to need to use. I'm going to want that to be it's going to be used as my outline layer. So I'm going to start out at 30% zoom, and I'm just going to guess, but I'm going to try 31%. So that means I need to put the X at 31 and the Y at 30.67. So let's try that. So we'll go to Effects, we'll make sure our layer is selected. We take the zoom lock off, put this at 31, and this at 30.67. Voila. Pretty neat. It's the same size. I've got sharp corners. But I need to, I want it to rotate with these when these things move. So I need to come back here, and I'm going to put this in as 31, and this is 30.67. And my rotate is going to be, first off, I also need to specify the value. Let's make sure I get the right scale. So I need 209.68 and minus 51.96. Let's try that out. 209.68 and minus 51.96. And lo and behold, there it is. Let's zoom out. Oops, I have to specify rotation. And they're rotating together. Now that's well and good, but I'm still missing the shadow. So all I need to do, since I've already got the values in there, is duplicate this. Let's make an adjustment to the blur, because shadows aren't always sharp. I'll make it 35. They're not as hard colored, so I'll make it 65. And I'm just going to change it to black. Then the next thing I need to do is change the distance. So I'm going to go minus 19.5 and 1. Then come over here, 720. Go back. And the shadow is moving with the layer. You can see the shadow is varying as it's rotating around, just like it should. Pretty neat, huh? Now, if you wanted more information on how to create your own layers, borders, and outlines, just go to my tutorial for those advanced outlines that's identified on the page here. You'll notice one difference, or a couple of differences here actually. The shadow is more diffuse than it is over here for the ProShow version. ProShow version here is rounded. This is sharp, although I can make this rounded if I wanted to. I can also change the size of this outline here. Now that shadow can be made larger simply by changing its offset. And I can make the opacity be as dark or as diffuse, or it's not as dark as I want. I can make it dark or light or whatever, so that I can give the impression that I'm further away. You can't do that using the ProShow shadow version or outline. Let's go on to something a little different. I'm going to move this to the top here. Let's change the size to 28. Go here to the settings, and we're at fit to frame. I fit to safe zone. We're going to change this to fit to safe zone. We're going to have a 3 to 2. Let's make sure it's 3 to 2. We'll go to adjustments, and we need to crop it. This says it's 4672 by 3104. So I'm going to uninvert these. So I need a 4656 by 3104. So 4656. So it's now 3 to 2. don't need this anymore. And we don't know what our pan is going to be. But our zoom is 28. I want, and you can move the layer around anywhere you want, but if you want to put it precisely where you need it or where you'd like to have it, you need to do some calculations or accept some limitations. At the moment, I want to put the upper right corner of this layer to the upper left corner of this layer. Let's go in and see how we do that. It's rotated in the layer center. I want to find the location of the upper left corner. That'll be minus 35, minus 40. So let's put that up here. Minus 35, minus 40. I want to align this layer's upper right to that. So that means that I'm going to need to put its coordinates, layer coordinates, it's minus 45.63 and minus 27.4. So let's put it in here. Minus 45.63 and minus 27.4. As you can see, it's perfectly aligned. The layers, the layer I'm moving has its right-hand corner, upper right-hand corner, on the upper left corner of the other image. Let's move this just over here somewhere. Let's put this layer's lower left in this layer's lower left. Now we move this. Okay, let's go to lower left. Let's make this lower left. Is it going to be at 5 and 40.01? So I need a 15.63 and 27.41. $15.63, 27.41. You'll notice, as I said before, you'll notice that the outline of this layer, the portrait layer, is half on and half off the layer, and this just shows it. That's hunky-dory fine. That gives you an example of how to use the locations and align to. Let's take this and move it somewhere. Let's make it 0 here and 12. I'm going to make this at 0 and 12. Now what I want to do is I want to rotate this layer with the other layers, so I need to put its rotation point there. Equals. And that means I need a rotation center of 211.64 and minus 216.27. Try that out. 211.64 minus 216.27. See how easy that was? Let's copy the next keyframe. Let's give it a rotation. Let's zoom out. And it's rotating with them. Very quick, very easy. let's try something different. I mean, really different. We're going to leave it at 0 and 12. We're going to reset this, and we're going to do the upper left corner. We're going to rotate it on the upper left corner. Let's do this. And we're going to rotate this by 90. Let's find out where that's at. I'm going to delete this because I don't need it anymore. We're going to leave it at 0 and 12. This rotate is still at 28%. I rotated the layer on its upper left. And I rotated it 90 degrees. Right here, 90 degrees. So I'm supposed to be, let's find the rotate here. So that's going to be minus 17.72 and 18.3. Let's bring in a little helper layer here. Set it to fit the safe zone, and 28%, is that what I'm using? Yep, 28%. Let's change the zoom, or the opacity to 50, and let's move it above the layer. My position is supposed to be minus 17.72 and 18.3. Voila, it's there. Let's do a minus 90. And that changes our location to minus 3.54 and minus 19.5. Let's try that out. Let's move this first. Minus 3.54 minus 19.5. There we go. Let's try something different. Let's say I wanted to do the rotation center at 45 minus 45. So I would come over here, and we're going to leave it at minus 90. We're going to say that I'm rotating on the rotate. Now I want to locate the layer center, and this says that it's going to be at minus 16.32 and 0.660. But that's not the whole story yet. You see, rotate center is based on, by default, on the layer being having a rotation center that is relative to the screen center. And by specifying my own rotate center, I'm probably going to be providing a user-supplied rotation center on the screen somewhere. Now, I don't need this anymore, but I probably will need this. I don't want to change the pan, so I don't want it. I don't want to change the zoom, and I'm not using rotate center, so I need this. So let's put this in, 9.57 and 0.66. Now we come down here. Now we can use this, and that is going to give us 15.95 and 17.67. Let's move this first. 15.95 and 17.67. Now let's go down here. Now remember, we're using a rotate center of 45 minus 45. So we need to put that here. 45, tab, minus 45. Perfect. Awesome, huh? You can, if you wanted to, you can also find out where the upper right corners are, or the sides. You could do the same stuff with tilt. You know, if I tilted at 90 degrees, this says, well, it's going to give me the layer pan. It's not going to give me the corner. But 9, 5, 7, and 12. So if I did oops, I don't want that. 9.57 and 12. And deleted this. Made this a minus 90. And there you go. So it can be pretty useful. Okay, that concludes this introduction. Any questions? Give me a call. Drop me a line.